Hey, what's up, guys? METAGAMESGX here, and who do we have with us right now today?
So my name's Isaiah. Go by Zay the Prophet.
Well, what did you end up doing?
So I ended up placing 11th at the remote regional with branded Despia.
Awesome. When I saw that, I was like, I have to peep the goo, and so what made you bring Brandon today?
Just been like a long time branded player. It's my favorite modern Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Um, and yeah, I was just really happy with the build that I had and felt confident in it. So yeah, I've been working on. So it was 8 rounds, and I went 6 wins and 2 losses.
Awesome. And before we get into the deck profile and your matchups, did you have any shoutouts?
Uh, I guess just shout out to my friend Tim and the MetaGamesGX Discord.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's get into it. So how many cards in the main deck?
So 50 card main deck.
Cool.
Um, so I'll just kind of go through the engine and then the non-engine at the end. Um, three Fallen of Albaz, like super standard. Three Aluber, and then I had three Serenir. And for the rest of my Bistral package, I had one Lubellion, one Magnamut, one Worm, and one Baldrake. It's pretty much just like one of everything. Give me as much coverage as possible. I felt the three Serenir was really important as an extender and a pseudo hand trap when I did have to go second. And then 2 copies of Mercurier, 2 copies of Cartesia, one Quem, one Kit, one Shrouded Dragon, one Ra's Disciple, and one Maximus for the Nadir Servant.
How did you
Um,
end up liking the Ra's Disciple over something like an Ida or something? Or even in the
yeah,
main
so
deck, how did you like the lock? Because I know some people are opting to run it or not.
yeah, so I ultimately opted to keep it in the main deck. I've gone back and forth, like you said, on main deck or side, because it can be kind of a bricky game one. But I just felt that the power it gives you going first when you do get to get it off is really good. And there was even one match, I forget which round, where I was able to summon it on like turn or going second and just close out the grind game with it. So those situations can come up as well. But yeah, it treated me well in the main deck. And as far as like raw over any of the other targets, I think that with White Force running around and Deception being able to like tribute all the other targets, Ra's Disciple is like just really good for that specific matchup, which I did end up facing today.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I
Yeah.
also just once you learn the lines for Ra, instead of like going through Granguignol to set up the lock, you can make some. I feel like some really strong lines by being able to use Cartesia and Granguignol, or just Cartesia to make other things other than Granguignol. Uh, 'Cause you don't have to send the lock off of Granguignol. You send it off branded fusion, so it kind of frees you up in that sense as well once you learn the combo lines.
I really like that kind of thinking with branded because a lot of people like really stick to like the tried and true methods with the deck, but when you kind of like realize you can use Cartesia for a lot more than Granguignol, so I like how you said that. And so you like the one shrouded even in like a 50 card build?
Yeah, I just never found myself needing multiples. I'm only playing the one retribution, so like sending off of Shrouded only really matters on turn one, basically, or maybe in one time in the grind game. Um, and like I said, I preferred the triple Serenir, because it kind of does the same thing as Shrouded Dragon, and it doubles as a pseudo hand trap.
Awesome. And then did you like the Maximus in the main deck too?
Yeah, I just felt like I needed Nadir for that extra oomph to be able to play through a lot of the hand traps going around.
Makes sense.
So that's it for the monsters.
Are you running Allura Darkness with the two Mercury, or is that kind of just a choice to have it for the grind game? Or is that one
More
strategy
so
you're
just for the
implementing
grind
currently?
game. I'm not actually playing the allures. I just liked I like you said, for the grind game, and also I am playing Gold Sark, so being able to banish the first one off of Gold Sark to get my plays started, and then still have another one to search off of Branded Lost. Felt good, and you brick on like the one Mercurier and the one Sark. I didn't want to like have that like double brick happen.
Makes sense.
Um, so then for the spells, I did 3 branded opening, 3 high spirits, and then 1 branded fusion, 1 lost, 1 branded in red, um, and then 3 copies of fusion deployment, 3 nadir, and then the 1 gold sark, and then just for the traps for the engine, 1 retribution and 1 banishment. Um,
So let me know if we can talk about, I guess, the banishment. Did you like banishment overall? Were you using those for lad lines or Light and Darkness Dragon Lord lines or anything?
yeah, Banishment is a crazy card. I for a while I was sleeping on it. Didn't really think it was worth playing. Felt like it was kind of bricky, but um, once I kind of learned the lines with Lad, as well as just like actually getting playtime with it and situations where even if you're not going for Lad, being able to sort of use it for the super poly esque effect is really really strong. So I really liked it for that. But yeah, it was it felt important to have in the main deck, like you said, for the lad lines.
And did you like the three branded in high spirits?
Yeah, I felt like this was pretty mandatory because of the fact that, like I said, I am playing the 3 Serenir, and so this plus Serenir is just full combo, um, and that's kind of the thought process there.
It's full combo through Imperm. You love to see it. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, and then main deck Nadirs, no regrets on those this format, right?
No, I have had a couple games today where it did end up being that they were playing like Fiendsmith, and they sent Desiree, but it never really mattered. Partially because of a card like Branded Banishment, um, and stuff like Branded in Red, and just like all the recursion you have in Branded. Um, and also, people just don't. A lot of people don't know because Branded has been kind of out of the meta. So I have people make mistakes all the time, and like someone sent my Maximus to the graveyard with uh one of those effects. So it's like you're not doing anything doing that, but he just doesn't know any better, sort of thing. Um, so yeah, it was really good for me going first. This is something that I was always siding out going second. Um, but just felt I needed it in the main deck for the extra push.
Great. And that's the rest of the engine, right?
Yeah, that's the last of the engine, and then just some non-engine left in the list. So for the non-engine, I went with 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 3 copies of Book of Eclipse, 1 Called By, and 3 Imperm.
So let me know what. So let's just say the Imperm and the Veilers. How were they, and what made you run them?
So the the idea behind them is just the fact that branded kind of needs a little bit of cushion going second. Um, it's really hard in this format to just completely board break. So just being able to say like imperm a duo drive or a Saji or I mean, against something like Malice, it's not quite as good, but a lot of decks, you'd be surprised how often just one imperm with a awkward hand can be enough for you to uh, be able to pop off going second. So that was kind of the thought process. I just wanted a little bit of interaction to cushion going second, and then Veiler is just naturally very synergistic with Branded being a light spellcaster. It's a high spirits target. It's a fusion target. I used it to make Sanctifier and lock somebody in a game today, so that was really useful. Um, the only thing is like you probably do want to play the Molt armies in one of these slots. I just don't have them, so I made
More as like a going first option.
Yeah, so more so of a going first option. It's not quite as strong as it was before Twins of Eclipse came out, but it can still be good. Just to force out something like a Fiendsmith Desiree to be able to play the game. I was using it to dodge imperms and veilers going second and going first. So like things like that, it's really good. But yeah, I definitely just was primarily here for going first. I felt like I was losing a lot to Imperm and Valor without it. So it was either going to be this or Super Poly. And I felt like a lot of times going first, I wasn't able to play through the Imperms with Super Poly the way I could with Eclipse.
Great. So yeah, no. Yeah, no. So is that the rest of the main deck then?
Yeah. So for the extra deck, I guess, I was playing one Sanctifier, uh, one Quartarice, one Albulanatus, one Rinbrum, one Borreload Furious, one Drago Stapelia, one Garura, one Light Darkness, one Titaniclad, one Granguignol, one Lubellion, two Albion, one Mirror Jade, and one Masquerade.
So did you like the one Mirror Jade? Was it really mattering only having one in your extra deck? Did you not miss it?
Um, yeah, no, it never really came up. It was kind of the case for me that if my first Mirror Jade got outed, I was probably not coming back anyways. Just given the fact that the way I kind of played the list is primarily going for Sanctifier and Light Darkness Dragon as my boss monsters, and Mirror Jade is more of a backup plan. So if the backup plan gets outed, I'm probably not. I probably am not going into another backup plan at that
Y-
point.
yeah, and plus you run the Stapelia plus the Boral, which act as like, pretty good onboard presences. Did you like the Stapelia? I know a lot of people have been cutting it lately.
Yeah, it actually came up a few times. Just comboing, fusing off Aluber with Albion, um, with like Cartesia effect, so that I could like keep Cartesia on board and use it to fuse again on the opponent's turn. Um, those sorts of things. And very similar to like I was saying with the imperms and the veilers, you'd be surprised how often just negating a single normal summon can just skip someone's turn.
Great. And then let's just say the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. How was that overall for you today?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't manage to summon it out too many times. I was getting hand trapped a lot. But when I did get it out, it was definitely like really strong. Just like three negates is really hard to play through. Um, I I'm I think the one person that I did summon it against, I I guess I'm one of the tricky things about light and darkness in when you want to actually summon it. I was using the branded banishment, and I decided to wait until his main phase to see what he was going to do. And I probably should have known better and just used it in draw phase. Um, because he ended up lightning storming me, and I could have negated it with the light darkness dragon lord. But that's one of the things that you kind of have to like be careful with this card. It's got a lot of like tricky rulings and just like the mechanics of it. Sometimes as well can be tricky. So um, it's just something to be aware of when piloting, I guess.
That's totally fair. And did you, I guess the last question on the extra deck, the Alba Lenatus, did that come up at all? Because Blue Eyes for some people.
Unfortunately, yeah, it didn't really come up. I didn't face any blue eyes, so that's primarily what it's here for. But um, it was, I think I did use it one time as a send off of either Mirror Jade or Granguignol, just to get another fusion card for follow up.
Makes sense, makes sense. Let's check out that side deck.
Right. Cool. So for my side deck, I played three copies of Nibiru, three copies of Gizmek Uka, and one Ecclesia and one Parasite as targets, and then one copy of Duster, one Dark Ruler, 3 copies of Thrust, one Black Goat, and one Fusion Duplication.
How did you like the Gizmek Uka with the Ecclesia and Parasite?
Yeah, the Uka was really, really strong, going second against the light attribute decks. So any sort of like Fiendsmith, White Forest, Ryziel, all those strategies, this card really felt like an OTK. It I had one game where I resolved this going second, and after finishing the entire interaction back and forth with my opponent, they attempted to go battle phase because they thought it was turn like 2 or 3 because of how much interaction this card created. Um, so that was crazy. The fusion parasite, because I'm not playing certain extra deck targets, I was only planning on using this as actually a going first option against Malice. So idea being, Fusion Parasite, the materials need to be on board. So going second with Uka, you don't really have the materials on board unless you're playing specifically. You can play Millenniumize Restrict or Sprind the Iron Dash as valid summons off of it, but I didn't want to make room for those. So my plan was to use this as a going first target against Malice once I set up a board, or at least like even if I just normal summon Aluber and I get hand trapped or what have you, pass turn to them with this in hand, and then I can at least try to like set something up on their turn. It's immune to things like Shifter, so that was sort of the thought process there.
Yeah, and then also Uka just puts pressure on the deck because it burns them for 300 and they're already paying life, so it's solid in that regard, especially if you put up a Masquerade, actually. Um,
Yeah.
and then I guess last question on the side deck, quick here. Did you like the nibs? Did you like this over something like a Droll or something? Or I know you mentioned having Charmy if you or running it if you had it.
Yeah, I think that like you said, if you have Charmies, I would say like Meowls is probably the better card to play in this slot. Um in general, this is here mostly for like Malice and this a lesser degree, like Fiendsmith and White Forest. It's not really going to be resolving a lot against Ryziel just because of Cross. But in general, I just wanted a card in this slot that would simulate the sort of floodgate effect that Mulch armies can give you. So Nibiru was the closest thing I could get. I mean, it did its job for me.
Awesome. Now, would you like to go over your matchups quickly?
Yeah. So, my matchups were round one, Fiendsmith, White Forest. Round two was Mitsurugi Ryziel.
Did you
Um,
did you win the first one or the second or like which
Yeah,
ones were
so
wins or
round
losses?
one
Sorry.
I did win. I actually have I took notes, funny enough. So round one, I went 2-0, one in time. Just he was just low and took too long comboing to get to battle phase. Um, and then round two, I won against Mitsurugi Ryziel, 2-1. Round three was against Draco Slayer Stun. Uh, 2-1. I won in time. Super close game. I think I won by like 100 life points in battle phase. Um,
Wow.
and then round four was Ryziel Fiendsmith 2-1. Round five was pure Ryziel. It was my first loss. It was a go second pure Ryziel build. And they 2-0'd me. I got hit with Fuwalos both games, and they had Droplet as well. So just
That'll do it.
really, really hard to do anything about that with Brandon. Um, but so yeah, and then round six was Bistro Fiendsmith 2-0 win, and then round seven was Mermail 2-1 win, and then the last round, round eight, was Fire King 2-1. I lost in a really close game.
Yeah, no, so that was a really good run with the deck, and do you plan on doing any events coming up, or are you gonna keep grinding with branded or going into next format?
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't have the Mulch Armies right now, but those reprints are right around the corner, so I'll be looking forward to that. And yeah, I plan on probably playing in some more regionals, and then when Nats eventually gets announced, potentially, depending on where it is, hopefully go to that as well, and probably bring Brandon.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, we'll see you there then. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your deck profile, and we'll be seeing you guys later. Please leave a like down below and comment what you guys thought about this deck profile, and we will be seeing you guys later. Bye now.